Hey, assalamualaikum everyone. Today I will be talking about a topic I absolutely love, and that is language learnability. As the name suggests, it's just essentially a language's ability to be learned. Of course, when I'm filming, there's like sirens in the background, like welcome to the Greater Toronto Area. Essentially, language learnability is important from a psychological perspective. It's very important to understand the extent to which humans can acquire some languages better than others. For example, we know that sign language is more easily acquired than verbal or phonetical languages. From a linguistic perspective, language learnability is also important because it helps us to better understand ways in which languages should be taught, which languages are easier to learn than others, and what are the aspects of a language which are more easily learned than others. For example, is grammar easier to learn than vocabulary? More sirens in the background, like I can't even. Okay, now that we have an intro, let's get into the willy-nilly gritty of all this. So first things first, the U.S. Foreign Service Institute, I don't know if I got that right. Yeah, U.S. Foreign Service Institute, FSI, has classified languages into degrees of difficulty. Keep in mind that they classified languages based on how much time it took participants to learn these foreign languages. Group 1, which is supposedly the easiest language to learn, was French, Spanish, and Norwegian. In Group 2, and these languages are supposedly harder than Group 1, is Greek, I believe, Greek, Farsi, and German. Then we have Group 3, which is Czech, Russian, Finnish, and Turkish. Finally, we have the fourth group, and these are supposedly the hardest languages to learn. We have Arabic, we have Chinese, Mandarin, I believe, didn't get into the details, and then we had Japanese. A few obvious issues with the scale of language learnability is that 1, all the participants spoke English as their mother tongue, and obviously your mother tongue influences the extent to which another language is learnable. Like obviously for an English speaker, German is not going to be as complex as Arabic, but for somebody who speaks a Semitic language like Hebrew as their mother tongue, will not have any challenges learning Arabic. And this is the same for any language. Like, okay, if you speak a Roman language, learning another Roman language is easy, like going from French to Spanish to Italian is a very easy switch, but it's not that easy to go from English to Mandarin Chinese, and that's why we find that in the hardest level of difficulty, they put Mandarin Chinese. Like, I don't care. You are never going to be able to convince me that German is actually easier than Japanese or Mandarin Chinese. No, that's not happening. I don't want to be dramatic, but it's really hard to assess a language's degree of learnability. Firstly, there's a lot of limitations to the types of research experiments that researchers can do to assess a language's degree of learnability. Like, for example, as I said, a language's learnability is influenced by your mother tongue. And so in order to control for that variable, what researchers do is they create these artificial languages with different degrees of morphological and phonological complexity. And then they assess the extent to which those languages can be learned. And then afterwards, they apply the findings of those artificial languages to actual languages with similar structures, similar phonology, etc. I don't think we appreciate enough the complexity involved in controlling for all the confounding variables that influence research on language learnability. So language learnability is based on the language, not the person. But if your participants are quick at learning languages, then that influences whether or not you find as a result whether that language is high in learnability or not. And I'll just say some of the findings on language learnability are extremely interesting. Like, for example, they found that grammar complexity does not cause a language to be less learnable. If anything, it makes that language more learnable because it is more structured. Anyways, I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. Do you really think that all this research being done on language learnability is valuable? Do you believe that there are some aspects to language that naturally call to our language instinct? And also, do you think there are certain aspects of a language that make it easier to learn? I was personally surprised to discover that grammar doesn't influence a language's learnability, because it definitely influences my ability to learn that language.